Hi, this video is about this keyword in Java. What is this keyword's definition? This keyword acts as a reference variable pointing to the current object. So if you look at this class, when the class object is getting created, like new operator, class constructor, you use a reference variable so that you will be able to access the class methods and the members. So this variable used here is a reference variable. And this keyword is equivalent of the reference variable. And when it is used it is used primarily when two variables will be having same name. Basically, when a program has two variables with same name, one at class level and one at method level, the compiler gets confused with which one to use. So in order to address that issue, this keyword will be used. Secondly, it is mostly used in constructor chaining when you have multiple constructor in a class and when you want to call one constructor inside another constructor, you use this keyword. Let's see the syntax. So to call constructors of within the class, you will be using this keyword. Like this is the syntax for that. And to call the data members, this will be like this dot and the variable name or the method name. And if you want to pass this inside a method, you pass it as an argument. And if you want to pass it inside the constructor, you can pass this as an argument. And you can also pass this. You can also have return type as this keyword. Let's see the code example. So say I have a cooperative bank. So let me create a constructor. This constructor is going to have, um, it's going to take something called currency, and it's going to take something called Swift code. And say that the class is also going to have same variable at class level. What I'm going to do is I want this currency to be assigned with the value that I'm going to get from this currency. Similarly, I'm going to use the Swift code. Basically say this Swift code. I wanted this Swift code to take the value of the Swift code that I get at the constructor level. So I have this and say I have a method. The method name is void. Okay, that's not how we write void. Okay, void display and you print currency and Swift code. No, should be no plus there. Put a plus here. Yeah. So basically, if even if you use the IDE Eclipse, so it shows like it is taking this currency and it is reusing this currency again. Like in between, the IDE itself is showing that it is not taking the value from here. But let's see. Let's create an object and let's see if it is going to do that or not. So you take the class type, use a reference variable, and new operator, call the constructor. You have to pass the value because it's a parametric constructor. So passing 100 and I'm passing Swift code ACC. And so what I'm expecting it to print 100 and ACC. Let's run. So if you look at it, we didn't get anything at the output, and that is because I think this just taken as string directly. Hold on a moment. And did we? Okay. No, this is not called because I didn't call the method. So reference dot call the display method, and you run the program. So you should be seeing that. So even though I passed 100 as currency and I also passed Swift code as ACC, uh, the constructor has not got the value 0 or null. That's because the class variable currency and the class variable Swift code gets overshades the constructor's variable. And because both are having same name, so they get the more priority and so they are overshading that. So to avoid this, you can put this keyword. And when we run the same program, so you have the value getting printed perfectly. So this is the primary use of how they use this keyword to avoid the same name variables used everywhere. And so this keyword will actually refer to the current instance. So the current instance, this is referring to 100, not the int currency. Like even if you have, say, for example, 10 year, though 10 is there, and I'm going to run. Since the current value is 100, it is picking the current value there. So that's one of the usage of this keyword. And secondly, where they use this keyword is, now you should see it is able to access the, it is able to change the variables. That will be your first scope. So so this we covered. So let's look at the other example. Now I have this constructor, and so let's have one more constructor. And I have it here. I'm going to remove this from here. I'm going to remove the parameter here. So say I have a constructor, and this constructor has nothing, but it is going to take this, and I'm going to pass 100 and ACC. So you have, if you look at this program, so this is one constructor and this is a parameterized constructor. In order to pass the value of 100 and ACC to this constructor, I'm using this keyword. Like instead of having the values passed here, I'm passing it, creating one more constructor, which is non-parameterized constructor, and inside that I'm calling the parameterized constructor with this operator. So if you run this program, you should still see the same output. So this would be your this being used within the constructor, taking the values. And let's see how they use it as this keyword within a method. How to use it with, this is like within a constructor. Now let's try to use this within a method. So I have this, okay. So I'm going to remove the constructor for a while to avoid confusion. So I have method display and say public void show. So what do? I do this dot display. So basically I can just call public void display and display it. Now let's say if I'm going to create reference for show. Okay, so I'm creating an object and I'm calling only show. And if you look at the show, it does not have any signature in it and other than calling the display method. So if I run this, so since we have the value for currency as 10, so it is taking 10, and Swift code is null. So maybe let's say we'll pass the value as www and run. It is taking the value from the class parameter, but it is able to show you, this method is able to call this. But internally, how this works is, it works this way. So this is how you use this keyword to call the method using the this keyword. And one more example. So that would be the example for using it using the this keyword within a, I mean, that will be one of the example to use this keyword to call the methods. We will see how to use this inside a method. So to use this inside a method, you have display and you say that you have, then you need to have an object and say you have say public void show, and now how to call this method. You have display and inside display you call this, you pass this. If you see this, the definition of this method is looking for an object. So object variable, which is nothing but your this keyword, or like this is equivalent to this ref. When you run this, you get the value of 10 and w, and how because this is acting as the reference variable which can access the data member of this display method, and it can display. So that would be the example for passing this keyword as an argument in a method. And the fourthly, where they use it is they use this within the constructor. Uh, this is mostly used when you have multiple classes, and when you have multiple classes, but you want to create only one object. So the examples what we saw were all having single class, and we created one object and you were being able to access the methods and constructors. Now let's think an example. For example, so you have a cooperative bank, and say the cooperative bank has currency and Swift code, and remove these things. And removing all these things. Now they have yeah. So let's assume that you have a class called global banker maybe, because I already used a class called global bank. So I'm using a class called global banker. So in that I'm going to call cooperative bank. So use the object of that. So let's say CB. Create a constructor for this and pass the cooperative bank in that. Now, since I want the value that I'm going to create for the cooperative bank at the runtime, so I'm going to use this dot CB is equals to CB, the value that I'm going to get passed from the runtime. Now let's say I have a method called um, void show global balance. So I'm going to have a method, and this method is going to show me dot println. I have currency here, right? So I should be able to access that because cb.currency, because I'm using the object reference, like of, I mean, I'm using a variable of type cooperative bank, so I should be able to access that. This is a very simple example. Um, so now I have a class. This class is going to use the object from a cooperative bank. Let's also use one more class. I'm just copy pasting it. And I'm going to keep this as interbanker and say this bank takes currency and what I'll say, and let's say that it's also going to take some int bonus just to show some differentiation. So I have, so basically I'm going to have two classes, but one is global banker and one I have interbanker. They both are going to reuse the object from cooperative bank. So cooperative bank, so I'm referring the type cooperative bank in class global banker and cooperative bank in the interbanker. I'm going to use the object variable, so which is my reference variable. Here I'm using IB and here I'm using CB, or like I can still use CB here as well. That wouldn't create any issue. So if you take, so this constructor is just going to reuse the value that is going to be passed from the cooperative bank directly. So cooperative bank is going to pass me currency and Swift code. So let's put that as so say that in cooperative bank, somebody is going to pass me 1,000 and my Swift code is going to be AAAC. I'm passing it to the global bank and I am trying to print that from the global bank. So 1,000 and AAC should be printed in the global bank. And in the interbank, I'm, I'm passing the same value, 1,000 and Swift code AAC. So here what had happens is, here I'm trying to modify the currency. I'm planning to add an extra 100 to what I'm passing to them. So let's reuse the method. I'm not actually reusing, basically I'm creating a new method. I'm going to change, when I say reuse, I'm just copy pasting it. So let's say let interbalance, and here I'm changing it into interbalance. So here I use ib.currency and here I use ib.swift code. So I'm at the cooperative bank. So here I'm going to create an object. So to create an object, you need, I'm not creating it. Creation of object is for cooperative bank, which I'll do it in the main method. So here I'm going to call the constructors of the global banker equals to new global banker and pass this. Since this constructor was taking only one argument, so it should be fine. And you have interbanker. So I'm taking this and II equals to new. Interbanker also takes this and it takes value 100 or say 200. And I wanted to display the function of global balance and I want to display the function of, where is it? Interbalance. So now I have also created So I have Cooperative Bank sending 1000 and Swift code AAC to Global Bank and the Interbank. In the constructor of Global Bank, I'm just taking it directly and I'm like going to print. And in the Interbank, I'm taking it and I'm trying to ask request for like 100 bonus to them. So I am passing 200 as bonus. I'm requesting for bonus as 200. If it is going to get uploaded, it is going to get printed. So now let's create an object for this. So if you look at it, my balance in the global bank is 1000, whereas my balance in the Inter is 200. So that's because I requested for 200 plus in it, and like I'm using different constructor. And this could be designed even differently, like even I could just directly expect the interbank to print their bonus to me instead of passing it as a variable in the constructor. I can also use the default class instance there and also print that. Uh, but that's up to the person to design it. So that's pretty much it. And thank you.